There we go. All right. Welcome to seated yoga. We'll start by finding a really comfortable position. So, building from the ground up, thinking about where your feet are on the ground and really pressing into the ground, feeling whatever sensations you can feel in the bottoms of your feet or the pressure of your feet rooting into the earth. And thinking about the knees over the ankles, your choice, whether you like to have your legs spread wide a little bit more for more stability, or whether you like to have your feet and ankles together, but thinking about keeping the knees over the ankles. And then moving up to the hips, really rooting down into the hips. So feeling whatever's underneath you. And then thinking about, am I equally balanced left to right? And you might sway a little bit left to right, putting more weight on the left hip and the right hip. And I'm doing a really exaggerated, but you might do this much more subtly until you find the midpoint. And then thinking about where you are forward and backwards. So maybe leaning forward and backward a little bit. And again, I'm doing it a little bit exaggerated. You could do it be a bit more subtle until you find the place where your shoulders are over your hips. And if you're someone who's a little bit hunched from texting or carrying stuff or working on a computer, thinking about bringing the shoulders up and back and the shoulder blades down can help keep the shoulders from creeping up towards the ears, which they like to do. So feel free to give a few shoulder rolls until you feel like, oh yeah, this is what it feels like to relax my shoulders away from the ears. And then maybe tuck the chin slightly. It's really common for us to jut our chin forward and put extra strain on our necks. So tucking the chin a little bit so that the head and the neck is right over the spine. Let the bones do all of the heavy lifting so the muscles can get a little break. And then if it feels good, you can close your eyes. And if not, just lower your gaze. Pick one point of focus, a drishti, so that we can bring the attention into our inner body. And start feeling, what does it feel like to be in your body today? And there's no right or wrong answer. And the most important thing is to label however you're feeling with facts instead of with emotions. It can be easy to judge ourselves, especially if you are experiencing discomfort or symptoms or something isn't optimal. We just label it and say, okay, that's how it is today. I'm going to be mindful of that. It's not good or bad. It's not your fault. There's nothing that can't think about what we could have done in the past. All we have is this present moment. And in this present moment, we're going to be as relaxed and as kind to ourselves and our bodies as possible. I invite you to focus on the breath. The breath is both autonomic, where it happens regardless of whether we're focusing on it or not, but we also have control. So by observing the breath, we often naturally deepen it. We often naturally take in more air. And we often naturally slow the breath down. So that might be happening for you as you focus on your inhales. And let your exhales come out through the nose where possible. But if you are more comfortable breathing through your mouth, that's okay too. And invite the breath down into the belly. Let the abdomen swell on the inhale and sink on the exhale. And this might be pronounced or it might be subtle. And if you're having a hard time feeling whether or not the breath is working into the belly, feel free to put the hands on the abdomen and feel how the belly is moving. Sometimes the breath gets inverted where the belly wants to go in on the inhale instead of out, but we can use our control of the breath to say, okay, inhale, belly expands, exhale, belly sinks. Breathing into the ribs, breathing into the back, and breathing into the belly. Now is a good time, if you want, to set an intention for your practice. It can be something very simple, like I'm going to come back to the present moment. I'm going to focus on my breath. I'm going to try every pose. I'm going to be self-compassionate with my self-talk. Or it can be something that you want to bring more of into your life. To be happy or joyful, or to be calm, or to be accepting of what comes. And then send that intention out into the universe and let the universe help conspire to make it so. And we'll do 3 rounds of bumblebee breath before we get started with some asana. So inhaling through the nose, filling the lungs, and exhaling with a hum. And inhaling whenever you need another breath. That vibration that comes from singing or humming or oming helps stimulate the vagus nerve, which runs from the base of the brain all the way into the gut, and helps remind our body that we're safe, turning on rest and digest, our parasympathetic nervous system, letting us tap into feelings of calmness, of contentment, of ease. And then tuck the chin to the chest. If your eyes are closed, you can blink them open. Feel the stretch down the back of the neck, maybe into the top of the back. Pressing the feet into the ground. Pressing the hips into the chair. And then using that root in the feet and the hips to get a little bit taller in the back. Tucking the chin, and then slowly looking up, coming into cow pose, pressing into the feet, pulling the chest through the shoulders, looking up, and then moving with your breath, arching the back into cat pose, exhaling here, and inhaling through cow pose. And it might look like mine, or you might be slower or faster, bigger or smaller than me. The point is not to match exactly what I'm doing, but to feel what feels good in your body today. What does your body want to do today? What is your body able to do today? And find that happy ground between what you want to be able to do and what feels good in your body. Because there's really no pain in yoga. So feelings of stretching, fine. And sometimes stretching might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but it's never painful. So if you're experiencing pain, you're experiencing a lot of discomfort in a pose, back out of it, maybe come out of it completely, maybe take a break, or maybe try again after a few breaths, just to regroup. You never have to do any of the things I suggest. You could just sit and breathe for the whole class, and that would still be yoga, and you would still get benefits from it. I will do one more round of cat-cow. And then take your time. We'll come into our Tadasana, our nice tall seat. Bringing the arms to the side. And we'll start with a few side bends. We've used our cat-cows to move the spine forward and back, and now we'll move the spine left and right. So you can either bring the hands overhead and grab for opposite wrists, or you could interlock all 10 fingers, or you can grab for opposite elbows. Figure out what feels good in your body today, and then get really, really tall. And then come over to the right, any amount. Really rooting down in the hips, getting tall on the left side. The goal isn't to get over to the right as much as possible. It's to elongate the left side of the body and feel the stretch down the left side of the body. Breathing in and out through the nose. If this feels really unsteady, bring your hand down to the chair. Pressing into the chair can be helpful to find some more stability. You can always rest the hand on the head if your arm's getting tired. There are lots of ways to do this pose. So find what feels good in your body. Find what feels good today. We're a different body every day, so what you could do yesterday isn't always what you can do today, and sometimes vice versa. And then we'll take another inhale, another exhale, and coming back up through to a nice tall seat, and we'll rest the arms for a little bit. Shake them out if you like. We'll turn the wrists in one direction, open palms, and the other direction. All right, shake it out, and we'll do the same stretch on the right side. So again, find what feels good in your body, bringing the arms up overhead or any of the other variations, and then getting really long on the right side, getting really tall, pressing down through the sits bones, making the spine nice and elongated, and then tipping over towards the left. Thinking about a straight line all the way from the arm down the side into the hip, stretching out the armpits, the whole side body. And again, you can always bring the hands down, rest on the head, or bring a hand to the chair if that feels more stable to you. Find what works in your body. They're all wonderful variations of the pose. The goal is to feel the stretch, not necessarily to tip over as much as possible. So thinking about getting really long on the right side, breathing in and out through the nose, and then coming back up through center, letting the hands calm down, give them a little rest, give them a little shake if that feels good. And this time we'll put the thumbs inside, squeezing with the fingers, and turning the wrists in one direction changes the stretch a little bit, and the other direction. And you might go really slow. And if you feel any pops and clicks, as long as there's no pain, that's okay. The more we move our joints, the happier the joints are. The more we're moving that synovial fluid around, the easier the joints move. And then we can open and close the hands and shake it all out. Nice. We'll do a few neck circles. So take this at your pace. My pace is going to be really slow today. Sometimes slower is actually more difficult. And you can really feel into all of the spaces in the neck, places that might be extra tight, and you can hang out there for a moment. And then continue on your way. And we'll do a few in one direction. And then taking your time, when you get back to where you started, we'll do a few in the opposite direction. Feeling through all sides of the neck, trying not to really crank the neck or put too much strain or pressure on it. Just some nice, easy neck circles warming up. all of the muscles that keep our very heavy head on top of our body. All right, and then when you get back to where you started, take your time, no rush. Come back into a nice tall seat, and we'll do a bit of arm stretching, starting with the right, stretching it out far, far to the right, really pushing the wall away, and then crossing that arm over the body. And again, you choose what version of this stretch works well for you. You can grab onto the wrist, or you can bend the left arm. You can grab on top of the elbow. We try not to put too much pressure directly on the joints, but above or below the elbow is great. And if this hand is getting too tired, just rest it on the opposite shoulder. That's fine. Find what feels good in your body. We're going to take 5 big breaths here. So really relaxing into this stretch, finding that balance of what feels possible and what feels easy in your body. So as we breathe here, find the place that feels good to rest in. It doesn't have to be at 100% or your absolute maximum. 80% is probably about where we're looking for, somewhere where you feel like you could stay for quite a long time. And then we'll slowly come out of here. And then I'm going to grab my strap. It's optional, but sometimes helpful as we bring the arm up overhead and bend the elbow. So I like to use a strap here. You can also just use the opposite hand underneath the elbow. That's fine. I'm going to reach around, and I'll actually turn to the side so you can see what this looks like, and grab the strap here. So now I'm actually stretching both arms. I can feel this in the shoulder of my left or my bottom, and I can also feel this underneath the arm on my top. So now I'm getting like a 2-for-1 in this way. And again, we're walking the fingertips closer to each other. Some people are really flexible and their fingertips can touch. Mine do not touch on this side. But we're finding again that place that is the balance between what feels like a good stretch and what feels like a pose that we can relax into for 5 breaths, where we're not just waiting for it to be over. And if you are just waiting for it to be over, lessen your grip a little bit. Make it a little bit less intense. Find the place that feels like you could be here for a long time. And then we'll come out nice and slowly. If you're using this strap, let the bottom arm go first, and then bring the top arm up and down. And whatever you need to do, maybe some shoulder rolls, maybe some arm circles feel good. Whatever feels good to kind of counter that stretch. And then we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. And again, we are not as symmetric as sometimes we like to think we are. So you might find that you have a very different range of motion on the left to the right. And that just is, that's fine. It's no big deal. We just adapt and adjust. So I'm again going to use my strap, bring my arm up, bending the elbow. You can also just use the right hand underneath. That's perfectly fine. Finding that space where you can relax the shoulders down, feeling a nice stretch underneath. Or if you want to use the strap, you can reach behind so that the hands are on opposite sides of the strap, inching them closer together. finding the space where it feels like you could rest in this posture for a long time. So yes, you can feel the stretch, but it's not so intense that you're waiting to get out of it. It's at a nice, moderate level. Again, 80% effort is probably right around where you want to be. And then making sure you're still breathing. Sometimes when things get challenging, we have the tendency to hold the breath, and that's the exact opposite of what we want to do. We want to oxygenate all of the cells in our body. We want to tell our body that we are fine, that we have what we need, that we can be calm. And we do that by breathing steadily, slowly, easily, fully. Relaxing the shoulders. And then again, when we're thinking about coming out, if you're using the strap, undo the bottom hand first, and then slowly undo your top hand. And then whatever feels good to counter that pose. Maybe, again, you do some shoulder rolls or some big arm circles. You figure out what feels good, what you want to do. All right, and then we're gonna move into a bit of twisting, and we will start by looking to the right, just using the eyes, looking all the way to the right, and then letting the head turn to the right, and then really thinking about the torso, twisting the torso, leaving the hips where they are, twisting the torso, twisting the mid back so the right shoulder comes back and the left shoulder comes forward. If you like, you can use the left hand for some leverage. Excuse me. And if you like, you can use the right hand either on the chair, the base of the chair, the back of the chair, or tuck the right hand behind. And here's another one where we're going to think about getting really tall. So just like we were thinking about getting tall when we were doing some side bending, in the twist, we can inhale and think, I'm getting really tall. My head is growing towards the ceiling. And on the exhale, we'll see if there's more space to twist. Making sure you're breathing. Inhale to get tall and lengthen the spine. And exhale to twist, looking over the right shoulder, see something new. And then to come out, we're going to come out slowly. You can use your eyes to trace a line across the wall to avoid getting dizzy. Coming back to a nice tall seat in the front. Inhale, let it go with a sigh. Inhale again. Let it go with a sigh. And we'll twist to the left. So first looking to the left, letting the head go to the left, rooting through the hips and twisting the torso, dropping the left shoulder back, bringing the right shoulder forward. If you like, using the right hand on the outside of the left thigh for a little bit of traction. And you can use the left hand on the seat of the chair for support, on the back of the chair for leverage, or you can tuck the left hand behind your body. It really depends on how you feel today, and it might be different on the left side and the right side, which is fine. And similarly, we're going to inhale to lengthen the spine and exhale to twist, looking over the left shoulder, see something new. Inhale to get tall, exhale to twist. Inhale to lengthen the spine and exhale to twist. Making sure you're still breathing. If the breathing becomes labored or difficult, untwist a little bit until the breathing is back to its nice, regular, easy pattern. And then to come out, we again use the eyes, coming out slowly so we don't get dizzy, coming back to center. And then maybe marching out the feet, maybe twisting the ankle in one direction and the other direction. Maybe pressing into the toes slightly to lift the heels, even if they don't actually lift off the ground, pushing the weight into the toes. And then pushing the weight into the heels so the toes lift slightly or have a little less weight in them. And rocking back and forth like that, pushing into the toes, lifting the heels slightly, and then pushing into the heels and lifting the toes slightly. If you have a strap, we're going to do a leg stretch, which can be helpful to put the strap underneath the foot. You can also simply move the foot away into a straight leg. That's fine too, and then lean over. It is your choice. I like using the prop. I like using the strap. I'm going to kick my right foot away and pull back to feel that stretch on the back side of the right leg. And you can leave the heel down if you like. You can stretch the foot straight out if you like. If you have another chair, or if you have a footrest or something, you can rest the heel on a chair or a footrest if that feels good. And take a look at the foot, because I know that for me, my pinky toes want to fall away and my big toe comes closer, and so my foot is at a bad angle, and I want to be mindful of that. So I'm going to pull a little bit extra hard on the right side so that my pinky toe and my big toe are equidistant away from my face. And if that's really tough, if that's hard to do, you can also use a block underneath the foot and use the strap on the block and the foot on the block to help keep the foot from turning out or in, depending on which direction your foot likes to go. So if that's easier for you, if that helps, use the block, try it. And it's all optional. All of the props are there to help, and if it's not helping, then don't use it. And if you don't have a block, you can use a book or anything else that's about that shape. You don't need to have a professional yoga equipment. You can always find something that will be a good stand-in. So it's really up to you. And then if you are feeling like, okay, this is feeling pretty good, I feel like I can feel the stretch, but it's not too much, you can always get tall in the spine and hinge from the hips forward, and sometimes that can intensify the stretch. So be mindful, obviously, sitting up tall and hinging forward instead of rounding the spine so we can protect the low back. So keeping a nice tall spine is safer for the low back, so that we're not accidentally pulling a muscle or tweaking something and causing actually more damage than what we're trying to do, which is get nice and limber and get into our body and feel what it feels like to be in this body today. And if the hands are getting tired from gripping the strap, you can always make your strap into a loop and put the wrists inside so that you're pulling with the arms instead of with the fingers. So if grip strength is an issue, we got a solution. You can try and see if that's better. We'll do one more breath in and let it go. And then if you're using the props, let the props go. And we'll do a few circles with the hip on this side. So you can do this on the ground, or you can lift underneath the thigh to do hip circles, or you can grab onto the shin to do hip circles. See what feels good in your body. and what feels like you're balanced as well, because this can be a little bit tricky if you feel like you are struggling with balance a little bit today. And then if you have not already, switch to the other direction. And again, these don't have to be fast. We are just bringing a little bit of movement into the hip joint, which is our biggest joint, a big ball and socket joint. And like I said, the more we move, the easier it is to move. So when we feel stiff, it can be really tempting to not do a lot of movement, but some really gentle movements, slowly increasing the intensity, can actually is usually the best thing we can do for some stiff muscles. All right, so we can move over to the left leg again, starting with our leg stretch. If you don't want to use a prop or you don't have a prop, that's fine. Just elongate your left so that it is nice and straight, sitting up nice and tall, and hinging over the left leg. That's a great stretch. You can stay there, do that. If you do want to use the prop, strap is great to flex the foot. That way you'll get a little bit more in the back of your calf. Again, sitting up nice and tall and hinging forward any amount. And maybe you don't have to hinge at all at first, because it might feel like a pretty strong, might have a pretty strong feeling. Make sure you're breathing. Make sure your big toe and pinky toe are equidistant. And if your foot is twisting and you don't want it to, you can always try the try it with the block. So try putting the foot on the block and putting the strap around the block and seeing if that works better for you. And it might or it might not, and that's fine. Again, if you have something, a chair or a footrest or something to put the foot up on, that's great. Or you can have it on the ground, or you can have it just hovering in the air if that feels all right. Lots of different options, and one is not better than the other. And again, if the grip strength is feeling tough today, put the wrists inside the strap. Make your strap into a loop so that it becomes a little easier. We're not trying to punish ourselves. We're trying to do something nice for ourselves. So make it feel good. Make it easy. And then one more inhale. Let it go. And then slowly bring the left foot back to meet the right, maybe marching out the feet, maybe rolling the ankle in one direction and then the other direction, some little ankle circles. And then we'll do some hip circles on this side as well. So again, this can be simply moving on the chair without lifting the leg at all. That's fine. Or you can lift from underneath the thigh. That might feel good. Or you can grab on the front of the shin, going in one direction and then the other direction. No need to go fast. Putting some gentle movement into the hip on the left side. And then letting that go. We'll open the legs a little bit. First, just finding this stretch, because this can feel like a lot on the inner thighs. Maybe you use the hands to help open the legs. Or maybe this feels totally fine, in which case You might experiment with dropping one shoulder, pressing into the right thigh as you drop the right shoulder, feeling the stretch intensify on the right. And then switching to drop the left shoulder as you press into the left hand, feeling the stretch intensify on the left leg. And you can move with your breath if you like. Switching from one side to the other side, maybe pausing for a breath, and then moving again. And then we'll do one more round like that. Dropping to the right, dropping to the left, and then coming back to a nice tall seat. We're going to stretch the quadriceps, the thigh muscles. There's a couple ways to do that. One way is to simply walk the foot back. I'm going to start with my left. And you might slide off your chair just a little bit. And this might feel like a good stretch. That might be a good way to do this. You can also pivot on your chair, especially if your chair doesn't have any arms. And again, walk the foot back. What we're looking for is a feeling of stretching from the hip down to the knee. So some people are like, I do not feel anything. Think about getting nice and tall. So sometimes if the hips are tucked under, we don't feel much of anything. But then if we rotate the hips and get nice and tall, sometimes that lights up that muscle. You can also walk the foot back a little bit more if you're not feeling the stretch. Or if you're like, this is way too much, then just walk the toes, make the toes come forward a little bit until you're in a place where you feel like, okay, I feel the stretch, but I can still breathe. I feel good here. I can be here for a long time. You could also, if your flexibility allows for it, grab onto the ankle, and you can feel the stretch in the quads that way. So lots of different options for, these are some of the biggest muscles in the body. Excuse me. And are very important for being able to get up and down from a chair, to be able to walk, to being able to go up and down steps. And we're going to stay here for 5 more breaths, which might feel like a long time. And again, if it gets to be too much, come out of it a little bit or just take a break. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling. And then when you get to the end of your 5 breaths, very slowly walk that left leg back up. And if you have turned in your chair, you can come back to a nice tall seat. And you might give yourself just a little massage on the top of the leg. So really, you can make fists and use your fists into the top of the leg, or you can do kind of a pinching motion. I don't know, whatever feels good in your body. As long as you're not causing yourself pain, you really can't do any harm in giving yourself a little massage. That can feel really nice, especially as a little counter to that nice long hold that we just did. And then we will move from the left thigh to the right thigh. So again, you can walk your foot back and kind of come off the chair a little bit on the side if that position feels good to you, or you can rotate in the chair and let the right leg, again, walking the toes back so that the right thigh is up and down, knee beneath the hip. And then again, thinking about, okay, what position are my hips in to best take advantage of this stretch, getting the spine nice and straight, playing with, okay, what hip position feels good. And I'm hanging on to my chair with my left hand. You can also hang on to the bottom of the chair. And then once we find the stretch, feels like we're in a good position. It's not too intense that we can't breathe. Feel like you can be here for a long time. And we'll take 5 big breaths here. And then coming out nice and slowly. If you're turned, pivoting back to face forward. And if you gave yourself a little massage on the left, you can do the same on the right, feeling into those thigh muscles on the right side, using the fingers or the knuckles. Give yourself a little TLC on this side. Lovely. All right. And then if you have any other positions, any poses, any asanas, something that we've already done that you'd like to do again, or something that we didn't get to that you would like to add to your practice, you've got 2 minutes here to play around, feel into your body, ask your body, okay, what is it that you want? Maybe it's more twisting, or maybe you feel like, okay, I really want to do more with my hips and opening the hips. Maybe it's a forward fold. We didn't do a lot of forward folding today. Maybe you want to hang out in a rag doll, or do some more cat cows. Whatever it is, ask your body, okay, what would feel good to you? Maybe it's more finger stretching or more neck rolls. Or maybe you've asked your body and your body's saying, you know what? I'm actually pretty good. I feel like I've done enough today and I'm ready for final relaxation, and that's fine too. Just watch your breath in and out through the nose. Belly rise on the inhale, belly falls on the exhale. Either way is okay, whether you want to do more or whether you feel like you're done and you're ready to relax. There's no judgment. And then when you are ready to come into a final relaxation pose, you might lean your back against the back of the chair if that feels good. You can always lie down on a mat or on a better couch. Maybe you put an extra blanket or a pillow behind you if that feels good, or you put on an extra layer if you're someone who gets chilly. All are good ways to really care for ourselves and have we don't need to tolerate discomfort. We can find a way to make ourselves even 1% more comfortable, and all of those 1% over the course of the day, the week, they really add up into a little more comfortable existence, which is what we should all be striving for. And then once you've found your nest and you've feathered it and it feels pretty good, I'll invite you to close your eyes again if you like. Or as always, you can lower your gaze, find that drishti, find that single point of focus. And we'll do a body scan to see how you feel now that you've moved a little bit. You can do the right side of the body and then the left side of the body, starting with the head and the right eye, the right cheek and the jaw, the right side of the neck, and the right shoulder, the right elbow and the right wrist, the right hand, front palm side, and the back side of the right hand. The whole right arm, let it relax. And the right torso from your collarbone all the way down to your pelvis. Feel the breath on the right side of the ribs. Feel the breath in the right back, the upper back, the mid back, and the low back. The whole right side of your torso. The right hips. And the right leg, the upper part of the leg, the quad on the front, the back of the right leg, the knee, the shin and the calf on the right side, the right ankle, the right heel, the sole of the right foot and the top of the right foot, and all of the toes on the right side. The whole right leg, from the hip to the toes, and the whole right side of the body, from the crown of the head to the sole of the feet. And then switching to the left side, from the crown of the head, the face on the left eye, left side of the jaw, the left ear, the left side of the neck, the left shoulder and the upper arm, the left elbow and the left lower arm, the left wrist and the palm of the hand, the back of the hand and all of the fingers on the left side, the whole left arm from the shoulder to the fingertips, let it relax. Relax your left side torso, from the shoulder to the hip. Breathe into the belly on the left. Breathe into the back on the left, the upper back, and the mid back, and the low back. All of your left side ribs, and the whole torso from the shoulder to the hip. Let the hips sink into your chair as you relax the left quadriceps on the thigh. And you relax the back of the left leg, the knee, the shin, and the calf, the ankle, the sole of the foot, and the top of the foot, and all of the toes on the left side. Relax the whole left leg from the hip to the sole of the feet, and the whole left side of the body from the crown of the head to the tips of the toes. Relax your whole body. And if you set an intention in the beginning of class, bring it back to mind. Thank it for being with you. Think of one very small action you could take on your road to embodying that intention. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose. And let it out the mouth in a sigh. In through the nose. And out through the mouth. In through the nose. And out through the mouth. And then, when you're ready, you can open your eyes.